And welcome back to another episode of TommoTalks, the topical conversation podcast with the series TommoTalks Music. I'm your host Tommo, and today I'm actually freaking out a little bit to invite today's guest on, a wonderful lady from Norway called TORA. TORA is based in Oslo, Norway, as I mentioned. She's a 26-year-old guitarist and the lead singer of the band TORA. TORA has earned herself widespread recognition due to her incredible technique, raw energy, unique stage presence, as well as her overall feel for the blues and her exceptional guitar work. Her Instagram account is now pushing 125,000 followers, and it's growing rapidly, which all started from one simple post. TORA made history in 2018 by becoming the first female guitarist ever to be signed an endorsement deal with the British guitar company Chapman Guitars. 2019 was a massive year for TORA and her band, releasing their first full-length album named TORA. And throughout 2019, there were a number of huge milestone moments, playing with artists such as Paul Gilbert from Mr. Big, Jennifer Batten, another amazing female guitarist who played for Michael Jackson, and drummer, producer Aaron Sterling, who you may know from drumming for the likes of John Mayer, Taylor Swift, Shakira, Lily Allen, Kelly Clarkson, and the list continues. In addition to playing numerous renowned Norwegian festivals and venues, TORA also had the opportunity to play in the prestigious Royal Albert Hall in London, England. So it's been an absolute huge year for TORA and her band, and I feel this woman is just getting started. So again, I'm absolutely freaking out to welcome TORA along. TORA, thank you so much for being on TommoTalks. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very, very good. And you're based in Oslo, Norway today. What's happening in Norway today?
Well, it's warm. It's like 30 degrees, and Norwegian aren't used to this warm weather, so kind
Right.
of staying inside.
Yeah. Is it too hot for you?
Yeah, we're not used to this, so we're freaking out.
Right, right. And listen, before we started recording, I think I said to you, I'm so ignorant about Norway. I don't know that much. I think there's two native languages and English. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have, yeah, basically, yeah.
Right. And do you speak all three or just
No, I speak Norwegian and I try to speak English.
your English is fantastic? Do you learn it in school there, or did you learn just growing up?
Yeah, school really helped, but also, from YouTube when that came, and video games and books and stuff.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So listen, there's a lot to talk about. The one thing that I can't wait to get to talk about is your gig at the Royal Albert Hall. For anyone that's listening that doesn't know what the Royal Albert Hall is, it's a real prestigious event in London. I've been there a couple of times to see artists. I saw, the first time I saw UB40, and they had Eric Clapton and John Mayer come out as guest artists. And I was two seats back, and seeing Eric Clapton live and the way he just like literally strangled the neck of his guitar, and the sound and the feel, it was like seriously life-changing. It was a different thing. But the Royal Albert Hall, just walking into the venue, looking up, it's sort of like I can imagine what it'll be like walking into the Colosseum back in the day when they were fighting. It was just the most amazing thing. So I want to get to that, but let's talk about 2019 quickly, where you are right now. It's been a huge year for you. Your sort of curve of popularity is growing. Obviously, with everything going on with COVID, everything's tightened up. I see that things are sort of relaxing a little bit in Norway. I think last weekend you were playing some shows. So if you can sort of bring us up to speed about 2019 this year and where you are right now, it'd be great.
Yeah, of course. Well, 2019, as you mentioned, was huge for us because we started out with basically nothing. I didn't have any representation, and things were kind of slow, and I was having a hard time, trying to be seen and heard. But what happened is that we released our first album, February 2019, and after that, things just kind of went up, and we got so many gigs as a band, which is difficult because I can do gigs on my own
Mm.
because that's cheaper, obviously. But with a band of like 5 people, it can be hard to book some gigs. But it worked out really well. I was in the UK and did Andertons. That helped, and the Chapman Guitar deal helped.
Mm.
So yeah, I just traveled constantly the whole year, and I wasn't expecting that. And at the same time, I studied music in Oslo, so it was like in Oslo, study a little bit and then leave again. do some shows, and the Instagram account also kind of blew up last year. So there was a lot of fun things to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we were supposed to release our second album in March, but we postponed it because of COVID. And also every single gig is canceled or moved to next year.
Right.
But last weekend we did 3 gigs, and we have 2 gigs this upcoming weekend with the full band, but they're only allowed with 200 people in the audience with a lot of distance. So it's different, but
Right.
it's still cool. So
yeah, well, I think like especially here in North America, it's a bit of a shit show over here with everything. I can't see festivals or any live music happening. Definitely not this year. Maybe next year, but I think it's going to be very similar to the same pattern that you had, where there'll be a certain area and there's X amount of people in, and you have to sort of socially distance and all that sort of stuff. But at least we're getting back to some sort of normality, because I really think like we need music. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a stress relief. It's therapeutic, and I think the sooner we can get back to seeing people play live and listening to live music, it's going to be better for everyone's morale and that sort of thing. Now you mentioned that you play solo. I've seen some stuff. You work with a looping pedal as well, right? So you've done a lot of work like that. And then you spoke about like last year the everything blowing up. What do you put that down to? Was that because of social media, or was that context that you had that sort of put you in front of the correct people? What was the sort of big explosion?
yeah, that's a good question, and I have thought about that myself. It was like this, like the click, and then all of a sudden it opened up a little bit, and I think I've gained more respect from fellow musicians, and I wasn't no longer just like this girl with a guitar trying to be cool.
Right.
I worked so hard on my guitar playing and songwriting, and spent so much money in the studio making it sound good. Like I did, and I did everything myself. It was so much work, but it paid off. And I think that's basically it. Hard work every single day for so many years. And at one point it will, it will show, and it will, but I don't think there's any like secret trick or something. It's just hard work, and make sure that everything you post and everything, like every gig you do, like 1000%, like it's
Right.
the last thing you're gonna do, and eventually it will pay off.
Do you know, I've done a number of these episodes now, and I always ask musicians, what's your sort of key message to musicians that are starting out, or maybe have been in the playing for 4 or 5 years and want to push their craft to the next level? And all of them have said, listen, it's if you just want a cruisy ride, like music isn't for you. It's definitely hard work. A drummer I was speaking to, Dylan Elise, he's originally from New Zealand. He plays, have you heard of Blood, Sweat and Tears? They're a very old, well, he's the current drummer for them now.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's based in LA, and he was telling me through the conversation that there's one point in time where he was practicing 12 hours a day. And that that blew my mind, I used to practice maybe 2 or 3 times a day, given that I never aspired to be a full-time musician or anything like that. But I thought that was enough, because life takes over, right? So, a friend of mine from the UK, he's a bass player for a band called Black Orchid Empire. He said the same thing. He said that it's just hard work. The misconception is you write one great song and then your career starts, and that's the biggest sort of false bunch of BS out there, I think. So that's interesting. So let's go back now to so I know that you're from like a musical family. I think your dad is a music teacher, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So let's go back to before you even started playing, when you were a young girl, because you have a brother and he plays in your band as well, right? He's a rhythm guitarist. Yeah, and I think your sister's a vocalist as well.
Yeah. Wow.
Mate, you got to do the digging, Tora. You got to do the digging.
Very good.
So, growing up in the family, like, what kind of music teacher was your dad? Was he like into sort of cool stuff, or was he a traditional music teacher? Tell us a little bit about what you grew up and how it was having a dad that was a music teacher.
Wow. Well, my dad plays the piano.
Cool.
And the church organ.
Mm-hmm.
He plays a little bit guitar, and he's just a music lover. But it's I think soul music was very popular at home, and a lot of Norwegian music,
Right.
like traditional Norwegian music. Yeah, soul music was very, very important. And also my brother, when he lived at home before he moved out, there was a lot of Guns N' Roses. He
Oh, yeah.
played Slash.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mark Knopfler, he was a big fan. So everything my brother listened to, I listened to, because he was the coolest person in the world, right?
Right, right.
So I just wanted to do whatever he was doing. So I listened to a lot of what he was listening to. And yeah, but I think like, and Motown, of course, was very important.
Interesting.
Then I discovered Michael Jackson, and then I wanted to listen to him for like 5 years. So
Right, right. I was going to
yeah.
ask you about that because in New Zealand, we obviously, if you go back generations, we all come from the UK, right? So growing up as a kid, I was born in 75, so towards the late 70s, I can sort of start remember like content, whether that be TV or music. And we were quite heavily sort of British influenced as far as content. It would have been probably early mid 80s, I think, where we started to get a lot more American content. Like I remember when Appetite for Destruction came out, Guns N' Roses' first album. I was 13, and that was like, it's very similar to, I think, when Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana sort of came out in the 90s, right? It was like a shift. It was just a real big change in music. Guns N' Roses at that time, no one had heard anyone sound like that. So in Norway, where did the content come from? Was it British? Was it American? Was it mostly Norwegian music? What was the sort of content base?
Wow, I think it was like everything. It was everything, depending on what you like. But I bought CDs when I was younger, like 9 or 10 years,
Yeah.
and I remember I bought Justin Timberlake. I had his CD.
Justified.
Yeah, very cool. And I had a Janis Joplin CD, Christina Aguilera, and then the rest was just Michael Jackson. And then I got the Continuum album of John Mayer at a certain point. That also kind of changed my life.
That is the best album out of all his back catalogue. I still listen to that today. It's incredible. And I was going to mention to you a bit later on, but your tone is so similar. Like there's some songs that I've had. I was listening to you on Spotify and that, and I was like, Jesus, like that's so close to his tone. So I was going to ask, obviously he's a big influence. So we'll get back to your gear and all that because I want to talk about Chapman guitars and all that sort of thing. So are you the youngest out of your siblings?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got your older brother. He's the dude you look up to. He's awesome and you want to be like him sort of thing. Because I know you started playing when you were about 15. What sort of, like, when you were listening to music, do you remember a moment where it sort of grabbed you and you thought, oh man, I want to play something? Or were you singing along to songs? Do you remember the moment where you sort of started to sort of head towards music as, say, some sort of comfort blanket and this is what I really want to get into?
Right. So the thing is, it's hard to explain, but I think without sounding like I'm full of myself, but we're all born with like talent for something. Like some guys are great at math, numbers, and whatever. And I think just music for me it's been so natural. I've never thought about the fact that I know how to do it. But I remember there's a video that my mom filmed me sitting with my dad and he playing the piano. And then my siblings are asking me to nod my head to the beat. And I was like 3 years old. And they said like, and we go like, ba, ba. And they said, now double it, ba, 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 ba. And like, because it was just so natural for me to feel the rhythm. I didn't have to learn anything. So I think it was just a part of me my whole life. And I didn't really want to focus on it because music was such a big deal in my family and I was sick of it. So I wanted to do something else, right?
Yeah.
But then, I got into my teens and my brother was awesome. And then I think if we're going to talk guitar, when I heard the Belief solo, the John Mayer Belief song.
Oh my God. Yeah.
At first, and I was blown. I have chills now talking about it because it was a moment in the car and I said to my brother, what is this?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah.
And he showed me and we talked about it. And since that was the moment where I thought, if I can play that, I'm the coolest person in the world. Maybe I would go that direction.
That particular solo, there's a lot of space in that solo too, in the way he phrases his notes. But so I've got favorite guitar solos throughout the years. The guitar solo in Hotel California will be one of them. Like, that's just epic. The guitar solo in Alive by Pearl Jam, that's just another one that's epic. But equally, the solo in Belief, I'm on board with you. That is it's so simple, but if you try to play it, it's actually quite technical too, right? Like, he's a genius. I love John Mayer. He's brilliant. So
Yes.
that age there, how old do you think you would have been there when you were like, nah, music's all around me. I want to do something else. Did you do something else? Did you like throw yourself into sports or something, or do something else?
Yeah, yeah. I played soccer from I was like 5 to 14, and I was good at it.
Yep.
That was everything I did. But so when I was around 14, maybe I discovered the guitar. So
Right.
I had to quit soccer because I get so focused on my hobbies that I can't have two.
Mm.
Like 100% or nothing. So I had to quit soccer and just focus on the music thing.
Right. And
yeah,
so obviously it's all or nothing, right?
yeah, it's all or nothing.
Cool. So did you, before you got to guitar though, did you try any other instruments? Did you sort of meddle, or was it just guitar that you were drawn to? How did sort of that come about to picking guitar?
Yeah, well, I played piano, so a little bit. Like I'm okay at playing piano, but I did a lot of acting. That was like I had this main part in a show when I was like 8 years old.
Right.
So I kind of grew up on stage, I think, and acting is super difficult. Like,
Mm.
especially if it's like a musical or something and you have to sing and tell the story and it's facial expressions and a lot of you have to work physical, like with your body.
Right.
It's so much work. So I was used to being on stage and all of that. But I think the guitar was more like me going, well, this instrument is so much.
Mm.
It is so much, and it's so hard to learn. It's a very difficult instrument starting out.
Right.
It's not like piano. Piano is more like, I get this. I think it's more simple than the guitar. For me, still is a mystery. Still.
Do you find playing guitar and like learning all your scales on piano, etc., before you transition to guitar, that actually helped you though whilst learning?
Yeah, it helped me, especially when it comes to music theory. Knowing like just a little bit piano helps so much, so much. I recommend that to everyone who is now starting out. Learn piano, like just the basics, because you don't have to know everything about music theory, but you have to know the basics. And then if you have some piano knowledge, that really helps.
Right, like circular fifths, things like that, and yeah, basic scales for sure. And okay, so now we've got the guitar, we're starting to learn. I'm guessing, is your brother still at home at this point when you're sort of 14, 15, or is he gone already?
Yeah, he's on.
Okay, so are you starting to sort of play along with him? Is he showing you things, or is he being the big brother? It's like, hey man, just chill out.
Well, he is such an amazing guitar player. Like, he's way better than me. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
And at that point, he's 7 years older than me. So I uh, I didn't want to learn from him because he was my older brother, and I was like, please, can you shut up and leave me alone? Because he's my older brother, so obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But sometimes I remember asking him one time, I'm like, how can I play the E chord? And he showed me that, and I was like, thank you, bye-bye.
Right.
But he had the room next to me, so I always listened to him play guitar and what kind of music he was listening to. So I remember he learning like all of the Guns N' Roses solos, and I was sitting there not showing him that I was trying to do the same thing.
Right.
But
right.
I never told him that. But
yeah.
So yeah, everything he did, I tried to do without him knowing. That was my goal.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so you start getting into guitar, and that. How long after you started playing did you start jamming with people, and then look at potentially forming your first band, which every kid goes through, right?
Yeah, well, that happened really fast. I think at the age of, I think I still was 15 years old or 16. I started the band because I didn't want to be a bedroom guitar player.
Right.
I wanted to be on stage because I was used to being on stage. So it just felt weird playing guitar just by myself. didn't make any sense to me
Right.
at that point. But I think I started my band, which is the band that I'm playing in today, when I was
Are you
16.
serious? It's the same band. Your first band is the band you're playing in now.
Yeah, but I have to say, we started out as a trio,
Yep.
probably inspired by the John Mayer trio, I'm
Right.
guessing.
Right. That was a
We were,
powerful trio, by the way. Jesus. Hey? Yeah.
so yeah, I think we started out as a trio. Now we have changed out the drummer, and then we added my brother, and then we added a backup singer later on. But the concept and the idea is the same as when I
Right.
was 16.
Right. And then did you start out as a covers band, or did you start writing original music straight away?
Yeah, well, yeah, both.
Right.
We were just jamming, and I remember like the first gigs we did playing our own music. Maybe we had like 4 or 5 songs, so we could never play any longer shows because that
Right.
was what we had. And then we played Vultures by John Mayer
Mm-hmm.
like every time, and a few cover songs. But I remember the first gigs playing our own songs. I never wrote lyrics. I just wrote melodies
Right.
and how the rhythm was going to be when singing it. So I just improvised the lyrics right then and there. I don't know why. That was probably not a good idea, but it was just fun. So I never
Yeah.
wrote lyrics at that time.
And like when you're coming up with guitar solos, I've heard other musicians say this. A friend of mine I talk to regularly on this. He says like he doesn't think musically. He sees in like colors and shapes and stuff. Like and I don't get that because it's not like how I play. But I'm a bass player, so I don't do much solo anyway. No one wants to hear a bass player solo. So, and did you sort of have anything like that? Like, or are you all sort of music theory, what's going to happen, how it's going to sound, or do you just sort of go with it?
It depends. I see a lot of colors. I do.
Right.
I've done that since I was a little girl. I think that is because I have never read music. And I remember I played in a band once where we played at like call it a party where people were dancing, and we played the music they were supposed to dance to, like swing and all of these things. And we played like 3 sets, maybe 60 songs, cover songs, and I only played guitar. And I never wrote anything down. I just remembered, and every song had different chord changes, right? Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my brain was just like, this is too much information. We need to put this in a system. So naturally, it was colors for me. So the G chord is green, the D chord is yellow.
Wow.
But if the song is in D, then the G chord will be red. So it's like it changes up so I can remember how the song is.
Really? That is so cool. So you don't actually read music?
Yeah, I a little bit. Like tabs and stuff, I can read that. Yep. But no, I don't like to read music, and I'll tell you why. Because when I'm on stage, and if I'm supposed to have this iPad or this sheet in front of me, that would be a part of my performance, right?
Right.
I don't see the point. Then personally, this is just for me. I lose like everything. I need to be free. It has to be on autopilot.
Right.
But like I have played guitar at theaters, right? Where I'm sitting below the stage and reading, then I have to do it. But if I'm on stage performing, being in front, never, ever. I don't support that.
I saw you, I can't remember where I saw it. I remember you saying something along the lines of when you learn a song, you sort of may look at the tab, etc. However, when you play it, you don't play it exactly as a tab because someone else has already done it like that, and that you want to put your own sort of spin on it. And I thought that was really powerful as well and really cool. And I think that's possibly how you've sort of come to your own tone. Do you know what I mean? Because every guitarist has their own sort of tone, and that's just the way they touch the neck, the way they work around it, obviously the gear they use. But when you don't always play exactly what the original music is like, you can sort of discover yourself. Is that sort of what you found as well?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Exactly. It's but the problem with that, I think, for a lot of young guitar players is that it's very scary to share something, let's say social media, because that's what's going on right now, right?
Right.
To share a video on social media where you play guitar and you don't play it the way people are used to hearing it can be scary, because then you're easier to judge, right? Because then it's you playing. It's not you playing someone else's arrangement. And I talked to a lot of young guitar players who are like, I'm too scared to share my own stuff because I don't want people not to like it or to judge it because and blah blah blah. So I think that's where a lot of the problem is that we are so easy to judge other people's playing when they are trying to be themselves, because that's a process. It's a process of trying to find your own sound and, as you said, your own tone. We have to let the kids grow, and just support them. And this is great because this is not you trying to be someone else. We need to encourage that. And reading tabs, cool, you learned a song, perfect. Now put them away and try again to see what your brain can come up with, because that's what's interesting, I think.
Yeah, you're right, and I think also, I mean, obviously social media is so powerful for a number of reasons. Look at your Instagram account for example. However, there's also a downside to it. I'll ask you this: do you read your comments when people comment on your Instagram posts? Do you ever read them, or do you just like, nah, I'm not going there?
I read them. I read them because I want. Starting out, there were so many mean comments, especially on my looks because I'm a girl. So it's, and on my body and my face and everything. And it was bad. What I wanted to do with my Instagram account, I wanted it to be a safe place for young female guitar players, especially. So when they read my comments, I want them to be motivated and encouraged to post something themselves, not to be scared.
Right.
So I have to read the comments. And if someone is being an asshole, I'll send them a DM and I say, hey, bro, what's up? Don't do that. My feelings won't get hurt because I have thick skin. I'm used to this. But for the younger kids who are reading this, you are like, this is not cool. Please stop following me and leave me alone. So now, if you read my comments, there are almost no mean comments anymore because I have, over the years, kind of cleaned it up. If you know what I mean.
That is so awesome. And let's face it, kids, be it female or male, starting out learning an instrument, it's usually around the sort of the 10 to 15 mark that kids get into it. They're so vulnerable at that stage, and like the online bullying has got out of control. I mean, there's documentaries out there now where kids have committed suicide because people have just been bullying them online. And I'm so glad when I was a kid, we didn't have social media. One, because I'm just glad there wasn't videos around from all the silly shit that I used to get up to, but also the bullying side of things, I just don't know how I would have handled it as a kid. So listen, that's so awesome, and I'm sure that there's other young girls that are really resonating with you. Do you get young fans DMing you saying, hey man, can you help me with this or that? Is there people reaching out to you?
Yeah, a lot, and it's like more and more, and I can't really answer everyone with like a personal answer because it's just too much work, to be honest. Yeah, but I try the best that I can to answer them. But now I'm trying to make more, like, I'm working on that now, full videos where I explain the most common questions that I get, so I don't have to answer everyone personally. So I spend a lot of time, and also now I have a friend of mine who writes tabs, and we sell that on Bandcamp.
Yep.
And I'm just trying to make, if people are interested in my brain and my technique and guitar playing, I try to make it as available as possible, but that's a lot of work too, so it just takes a little time. But I try to answer everyone who sends me a message because they're from all over the world. I mean, I have friends all over the world.
That's
How cool
amazing.
is that?
It's incredible. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
Oh, it's awesome.
Now, I think 2011, the band, you dropped your first EP. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Okay. And I think it was the second EP though that you reached the iTunes like most playlist, or what was it? There was some prestigious sort of milestone there.
Yeah, right. The iTunes list in Norway.
In Norway.
Yeah. So that was very cool. It looks good on paper that we did that. So that was good.
But it must have also been a little bit of a buzz, right? I think, what is there, 5.5 million people in Norway? Yeah, so New Zealand's about 5 million, so it's a sort of same size population-wise. And did you find that was like a little bit of reassurance? Over the years, you've been putting all your time into this. You formed the band, you're recording, you put a lot of time into it, and then when things like that happening, it must have been a little bit like, okay, so maybe we're on to something here. Is that what sort of you felt like?
definitely. We were actually, the plan was to stop playing as a band after that second EP came out because everybody was moving, and it was just a way of us saying, here's the songs that we have played for many years but never recorded.
Right.
Here you go, have fun, we're out. That
Right.
was the plan. And I was going to do a different band or something. But then again, that iTunes thing happened, and then we got a lot of gigs. We won some like awards for younger musicians and stuff. So we couldn't stop.
Mm.
We had to just keep going. And that was very cool. When that happens, you never think that will happen as a rock and roll band.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
come on. But it did, and that's probably one of the reasons why we're still playing as a band.
Right. And I'm guessing that because of the temperature and everything in Norway, that there's probably a tight schedule in the summer for festivals. Is there like a bit of a circuit that you sort of follow around, or how's all that sort of set up?
Yeah, well, the festivals usually last from the beginning of June to the end of August, but there are still a lot of festivals during the fall.
Okay.
A lot of blues festivals.
Nice.
We play they book like big hotels, and the festival is inside. And we are so used to the cold and so used to the temperature and everything. So it's like when it's hot, we hide. When it's cold, we're outside. That's how it works.
What's so in your winter? How cold does it get? Centigrade?
Oh, it's cold. It depends on where you're at. But where I'm from the middle of Norway, kind of north. Like when it's very cold, like minus 20 degrees, 25, when it's super cold.
Right. I can top you on that. It gets to minus 40 here. So, yeah, we're used to. And saying that, though, I've been here 11 years, and the first couple of winters that I was here, there was usually a week, if not two, between February, March, where it was minus 40 the whole time. And that is cold. Like,
you can't go outside.
Well, you do. You got to go to work, right? So you go out to your car, and like your eyelashes will stick together. It's hard to explain what it feels like without feeling it. Like if any skin is exposed, it's like thousands of knives stabbing you at once. It is brutal. But again, like over the 11 years, I mean, this winter just gone. Over the last couple of winters, I doubt that we've got sort of past minus 25. So it's incredible how much it's changing. But yeah, the cold weather it sort of hardens you up. Do you get much snow as well though?
Yeah, a lot of snow.
Right. Oh, and I think another fact I just remembered. I think you've got the biggest reindeer population in the world as well.
We do.
Yeah.
A lot of reindeer. I'm just so used to it. And moose, a lot of moose, especially where I'm from.
Is that right?
So when you're driving, you have to drive really slow because boom, you hit a moose.
Oh my God, you're done. Your car will be written off, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so 2011, the two EPs, they come out. You starting to grow moderate success. How and when do you start looking sort of like outside of Norway? How did that come about? Did you have a manager that sort of put you in touch with people? Did you just get on an email and just start thrashing people? How did that sort of develop of getting out of Norway?
Right. So in 2000 and let me think, 17, 18, around that time when I moved to Oslo, I started studying music here, and then I got to a point where I was like, I can't keep doing this on my own. There's way too much work. Like so many small things you have to do. Book flights for the drummer, the bass player, blah, blah, blah. Contact the venue. Like there's so many things. There's just not enough time. So I started sending out emails to every booking agent, management, record label in Norway. We're talking maybe 70, 80 emails every day going like this.
Right.
No one really answered. Ever. It was like silence. So I said to myself, okay, boom, I'm going to finish this album, our debut album called TORA. I'm going to release that and see how it goes. And if I can't handle it anymore, the amount of work, I will just take a break. But at the end of 2018, this management contacted me. They're called Backstage Management. They represent great artists here in Norway. And they said, hi, we want to come to one of your shows. Check you out.
Awesome.
Oh, that was the most awesome thing ever, right? It was so cool.
Yeah.
And I told my band, and we put together this awesome show, and we looked good and everything. And we just played like the best show ever. And the next day they called me and said, "Hi, you want to come down to the office and we'll have a chat?"
Right.
I was, yeah, let me check. I don't know, maybe. I just ran down there. We signed a contract, and I've been working with them since November 2018, and I still do.
Perfect.
So when the album released, February 2019, I had already booked the release tour by myself.
Right.
I had made the album cover, I had made the merch, like everything. And they just came on board and helped me book gigs throughout 2019.
Right.
But you're talking about like outside of Norway, that's basically Instagram that has helped me do that.
Right?
Yeah, basically. And also me saying, I think our music would really work good in different countries.
Mm.
I think it would be popular because Norway is very pop.
Yep. Right. So then how did Chapman Guitars come about? Did you play Chapman Guitars before the endorsement? Did you play other brands? How did that sort of come about? Because they're quite a unique brand, and they also have some wicked artists signed to them. Like I was looking through their portfolio of signed artists, and there's some really, really amazing musicians signed to them. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I have to say that I no longer work with Chapman Guitars, but we ended things in January. Good terms.
Okay.
But yeah, they discovered me on Instagram summer 2018.
Yep.
Called me and said hi, and I didn't know what an endorsement deal was.
Right.
Like didn't know what they were talking about, and I didn't know who Chapman Guitar was. I didn't know anything, so I felt so stupid. So I had to talk to my friends and everything, and because Chapman wanted to send me a guitar, and I'm like, okay, send me a free guitar. That's cool.
Right.
Didn't know anything. So we just had an agreement that I would use their guitars, and they will help spread the word about me on their channels.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just a very, very like big boost for me because I reached out to different kind of guitar players and listeners that didn't know who I was.
Of course.
So Chapman Guitars really helped me, and they were the first to notice me. And for that, I would always be grateful.
Right. That's lovely of you to say. And so what are you playing now?
Now I got myself a signature Strat.
Oh, really?
From a French guitar company, and I will try to pronounce this the right way because it's in Marceau.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Marceau.
Marceau Guitars. They are the second biggest guitar company in France, I think.
Right.
Yeah, and Tom, who is the boss over there, contacted me and said, "Hey, can we make you a signature guitar?" And it's beautiful. It has my name on the 12th fret. Like,
wow. So did you have a hand in designing it, like as far as like pickups and things of that nature?
No, I just said to him, "You just put in like the whole that stuff, whatever you think works best."
Right.
But when you see how it looks, that's all me.
Yeah, cool. And what backline do you use?
You think amps and stuff?
Yeah.
You know what? When I travel, I have things are so heavy, so I don't travel with my own amp.
Right.
But they deliver it on the venue,
and
I'm kind of like, it doesn't really matter that much. Usually, it's like a Fender twin reverb something or a Vox, or if I can get the Boss next to an amp, I love that one. I have that right here in my apartment. But yeah, as long as it's a good amp, I can make it work.
Right. And you've got a fair number of pedals too, right? So I suppose everything, the signal running through that, as long as the amp's got enough grunt and that, you'll be able to, like you say, make it work.
Yeah.
Very cool. And there's a certain tone that comes with Strats as well that you just can't beat. So that's awesome. So I want to move on now to how the Royal Albert Hall gig came about, and I'm pretty sure that when you got the call for that, you must have been like, is this for real? Like, because did you know much about Royal Albert Hall? Like, surely as a kid you probably grew up seeing your favorite artists play there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as you said, when you get that phone call, you just don't believe it. I did cry after they asked me, because it was, as I mentioned, we started out 2019 with nothing. and then I realized I'm going to end it playing in the Royal Albert Hall. That's heavy, that's you can feel it.
Yeah.
But the thing with the Royal Albert Hall gig is that there were a lot of Norwegian blues artists, best Norwegian blues artists in Norway, went down there and to play this. It was called the Norwegian Blues Adventure.
Right.
Right. So I was one of the artists who were able to perform there. I did 3 of my own songs and one with something. So it was a lot of artists on stage, but it was I have no words for that.
Oh, I bet.
That was crazy.
So, I mean, leading up to before you left Norway and headed over to London, I'm guessing the band, you probably worked out a way to segue from song to song. How was everyone's sort of nerves like leading up to it? Because this is a big deal, right? This is like if you pull this off, it's just going to open so many more doors. How was everyone feeling?
Well, when you're there on stage, you're on. It's just a venue because you still have to perform your best no matter where you play.
Mm-hmm.
But as you were saying, like building up to this, your Royal Albert Hall is all over your mind, right? That's where you're going to play. So when I walked in at soundcheck, like I almost lost my breath being on that stage and looking out. Like you said, it's like a Coliseum. It blows your mind.
Yeah.
Just the feeling in that room.
And the history of it too, right? Like all the artists that have played there before. It's overwhelming. And I was there just as an audience member, so I can't even imagine like walking out from backstage onto that stage and looking out. It must have been it must have been a wicked feeling though.
Wicked feeling. And there's a video of me going on stage and the stage is black and I just play guitar and I would walk up to my mic. Right. And when I was supposed to start singing, the lights would come on, right? Yeah. But I just stopped for a second and I said, wow.
Right.
I had to take like a moment to take it all in. And the audience couldn't see me. They could just hear my guitar playing and me saying, wow.
Right. That's amazing.
My dad was there and he filmed it and everybody's just laughing and clapping because they understood that this was such a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Because that whole year had been so much work.
Right. Now, this might sound like a weird question, but do you actually remember the performance? Like, do you remember the songs, or was it just a blur and you started and then it was done?
Good question. I remember the performance, but the reason for that is I'm so lucky to have a lot of experience with playing gigs and being on stage that I have learned kind of techniques not to kind of zone out.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, a performance is so much acting as well. I use my body a lot and I run around and I dance and all of a sudden I'm Michael Jackson with a guitar. Like you never know what's going to happen. So I remember the performance, but if I had done the Royal Albert Hall at the age of 19, I wouldn't remember it because the nerves would be taking over.
Right. So in some way you sort of go to like an alter ego just about. Like you get into your performance mode and you go out there and you deliver a performance very much like when you were on stage acting as a kid, right? Before you leave the wings, you snap into your character and you head out there and you do the job. And it sounds like that's what you're sort of doing now, which is very, very cool as well. And listen, I must, like your parents at that moment, there must have been a tear in their eye as well, right? From watching you on the piano when you were a little girl, banging your head, as you said earlier. To seeing their daughter walk out, and your brother would have been on stage with you as well, no doubt, right?
Oh, the thing is, it was me, and there was this what do you call it? A band that played with every artist.
Oh, it's like a backing band, pretty much.
Backing band.
Okay.
Right. So I was just a solo artist, but doing me and my band's songs.
Right. And your parents, they must have been just over the moon.
Yeah, they were. I mean. I think for them, they're just so proud no matter where I play and do. I think that's like a parent thing. I'm not a parent myself, but they're like, no matter what I do, they're just as proud as, always, the best parents in the whole world. But I think the Royal Albert Hall thing for them as well, because they knew how hard I've been working. So it was just like, you deserve this. Like you deserve this so much. It was that we are so proud. So yeah, was a little
Yeah,
tear.
I bet. I actually saw a photo of you and your mum from last weekend backstage.
Yeah,
Yeah, and your mum looked super happy. Yeah, super stoked. That was a really great photo.
yeah, she's the best.
Cool. So, if we could just sort of like, if you could think back, there's a few things that I seen you say previously, especially about being a female and a girl, and you mentioned that people never used to take you seriously, and that sort of made you angry and gave you the drive to be better. And if there's any young girls watching this, or parents that have young girls or young boys for that matter that are sort of thinking about starting music, what's three things you can sort of give to them as far as advice about learning an instrument, if they want to do this for a full-time thing, or if they just want to start out? What are the three top things you could suggest?
Yeah, that's always a difficult question because we are all different. But as I said in the beginning, hard work, and as you said, I don't think people really understand the amount of hours you have to put in. It's a lifestyle, right? You have to say no to parties. You have to say no to these fun things that everyone else can go to, because you stay home and you practice or you write songs. It's a lifestyle you have to enter, and it also takes time to mentally get into that, right? That's also a process to learn how to be determined and to have a schedule without any. You don't have a boss telling you show up at 7. It's all up to you to get out of the couch and start doing something.
Right.
And to get that routine in, that requires I think a few years, right, to get that whole thing in. But if you really want it, it's fun. It's always fun, and it's boring to watch Netflix. That's it should be boring if you love to play your instrument. So hard work, definitely, and especially to young girls. I know the issues and I know all of that things. What I think we need to focus on as young female guitar players or whatever instrument you play is stop caring so much about what other people think.
Right.
When it all comes down to it, nobody really cares, right? Like, I've done a few podcasts and interviews and all these things with great people, and no one really cares about the fact that I'm a girl. But someone does, and the ones who does, they speak so loud,
right,
that they fill up the room with their mean words and disrespect. So, like, people like you, like, we can't hear you because the people who think that I am not a good guitar player because of the way I look, I hear them because they speak so loud that I'm like,
really?
We have to get to a point where we just have to filter out the noise of people who doesn't really understand that whole thing. Because if I'm a girl or a boy or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. So don't care as much. Try to do a little more the long finger.
Yeah, the one finger salute.
Yep.
Listen, I agree with you, but I think it's going to come from more conversation like this to sort of really sort of promote that. Listen, like, I remember, there was a campaign a while ago, I'm not sure what country it was, and this ad was like, oh, you throw like a girl, oh, you do this like a girl, you do this like a girl, and then there was like a movement of like, so what? Like, what do you mean I throw like a girl? And I had like athletes, like, yeah, I throw like a girl, which is probably better than you can throw. Do you know what I mean? So there's this sexist divide that I think needs to be bridged. And seriously, TORA, with people like you and doing what you do on your Instagram, and the one thing I really love about your Instagram page is you come across so personal, like in your videos. Like, I've never met you, but watching your videos, I feel like I know you. And it's because you've just got a really great connection, and I think it's going to be more people like you having this conversation like we're having now, and trying to get more girls into playing. Because again, when I was young, growing up, there was no girls playing music, and I think that there was always that sort of, well, it's a boys thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So let's just keep talking about it and just keep what you're doing, because it's awesome. And I'm pretty sure that your fan base is probably, it'd be interesting to know the breakdown of gender that follow you. I at a guess, I'm going to say that there's a lot more female followers, And there's probably a lot of guys following you now, watching what you're doing, going, "Shit, I can't actually play that good myself." Do you know what I mean? Which is awesome. Like you're doing it, mate. So it's so good.
Thank you.
No worries. So social media, you can be found. Facebook is TORA band page, so TORA. Instagram, the actual, so it's TORA DAA, correct? Or your full name, which I'm not going to even try and pronounce because I sound like a muppet. So I'll let you pronounce your full name.
All right, my full name is Tora Dalle Ågård.
Thank you so much. I would have blown that. And the website is thisistora.com. 2020, what is coming up? Is there anything else that's sort of coming up towards the later of the year? And then 21, what's happening in the next sort of 6 months to 18 months?
Right. We are at the beginning of September. We will be releasing our second album because I don't want to wait anymore.
Right.
I think it's time to put it out there. Because on the album, I have Aaron Sterling playing on one of the songs. I have a duet with Joey Landreth, who is amazing. And a lot of great new tunes. So that will be out. And we have the UK tour that was moved from April now to the beginning of December.
Right.
Not sure if that's going to happen because of the virus, but if not, we will move that to 2021.
Right.
Hoping to play some gigs, and that it will be opening up more, that musicians can make some money and go out there and play.
Right.
2021 will be big.
Yeah, you're going to be crazy busy.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. Dropping
the second album, and then like the rate your Instagram page is growing, the second album, it's going to be a huge year for you. It's going to be awesome. I mean, it's been pretty wicked. Like, you're 26, you started playing with your 15. Like, where you've got to now in the journey of a musician is pretty astonishing. Like, most people work 30 years to get to this point, right? So whatever you're doing, TORA, it's amazing. Again, I'm a huge fan, and anyone that's listening or watching, make sure you get to Facebook, check TORA out, check her Instagram page out, check her website out. Again, Facebook is TORA band page, Instagram is TORA DAA. The website is thisistora.com. Watch out for the second album coming out later in the year. I just want to thank you again, TORA. You've been an absolute delight. You're a wonderful person, and I just love your playing. And anyone out there, go check her out on YouTube. You will seriously be a fan. And again, thank you so much for being a part of TommoTalks.
Thank you. You're too kind. Thank you so much.
No problem. Cheers.